4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's in love, and a terrific show off.
I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the final race meeting in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour. My name is Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by the wonderful Ed May in the commentary box. Ed, we've had a fantastic sort of mini-season out of this. Very exciting, very dramatic, even controversial at times. But we arrive here at Phillip Island, a circuit that I'm pretty sure both of us really enjoy for a great finale sprint night.
Yeah, it might be a sort of a mini season, but the action has been condensed into a real entertaining spectacle, hasn't it? All along this season, you've had some, like you say, some brilliant moments and some where things have gone a little bit too far off the boil, but I think right now we could be in store for a blockbuster finale because the championship is very close and finally poised, coming into the final 2 races of what has been a winter season that we've tested some things out, and we've obviously got some plans in mind for the future of Sim Racing Magazine, but the here and now is very exciting.
It absolutely is. Thank you very much, Ed. It's Simon Povey that leads the championship at the moment by 5 points from Nils Kaur, both of them getting affected by different issues during the round last time out at Sandown. Dominic Brennan is only 1 point ahead of Arthur Thurtle, and it's quite important actually that Dominic remains ahead of the 2 Altitude Esports drivers because Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped are just ahead of Altitude Esports in the Teams Championship. They could actually take that in the first race tonight, and now both Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped drivers are here, but unfortunately Arthur Thurtle, as he said to us last time, is not around for this finale. So it seems like, unless Adam Watson has an absolute belter and the 2 Spontex guys have a nightmare, it looks like that is all done. But look how close it is all the way down this order here, Ed. It's been a real mix this season of the points going in all different directions, and it's certainly stayed exciting throughout, hasn't it?
It's been wonderful from the word go, and obviously with the tweaks to the championship format, trying the endurance style format that we're used to, those 1 hour long races, then spicing it up a little bit with the changing format to the half-hour long races. So now I think we've gone from a 20-minute race to a half-hour race, just to continue to tweak things here and there to see how the drivers come to grips with it. And it has provided some very exciting racing. Of course, we've changed the reverse grid format as well, I believe, from it being, I think, 15 drivers just down to 10 to try and maybe negate some of the carnage that we've been seeing. It didn't seem to work too well last time out, but maybe here we'll see the drivers with a bit more of a wider circuit, a few more opportunities to overtake, some cleaner racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It did get a little bit out of hand at Sandown, and as a result, and obviously in the interests of clarity, there was a race meeting ban for this final race meeting for James Holman. But admittedly, James was very graceful and, accepting of his penalty for what the retaliation was, and he was great about it, very professional, and we thank James for that. And also to Adam Watson as well. He's currently fastest at the moment, is Adam, so he's certainly back with a bang. But Adam, for sort of his part in some of the incidents and some of the driving over the season, Adam has received a suspended ban from the series based on some of the incidents that we've seen. But Adam's been, again, gracious in accepting that, and he's vowed that this will be a solid meeting. And, well, when it comes to the pace alone at the moment, Ed, it's looking very, very good indeed, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. I believe it's been, I think, their first outing in sort of a season campaign, I think, for Altitude Esports, and both of those two drivers have really taken the championship by storm. It was, I believe, Arthur Thurtle who put it on pole and was a real force in the first round at Fuji. So it's certainly a team to keep an eye on down the line, Altitude Esports. Of course, we will look forward to the next season and hope we can see them joining the likes of Apex Racing Academy, who as well were excellent to watch and obviously aren't taking part this season, but hopefully we'll see some more of in the next season, in the new year. But right now, here at Phillip Island, it does certainly look comfortable for Adam Watson. He's got a nice run of things at the moment, but Neil Score is doing a good job himself. He's a driver that we will focus on, of course, trying to chase down Simon Povey's 5-point championship lead. Very slim margins when you can think that there's, 30 points available over the course of an evening?
Yeah, in these sprint evenings, what you have is just 1 point difference per position. So really, there's no onus on winning the race over finishing in second. So some drivers have a bit of a different approach to it. And it does encourage a bit more of a chilled approach when it comes to sprint racing, because we know that it's all a lot more feisty and a lot more sudden. But when you can have drivers sort of look at the points and know that going for a win and going for a risky move, it's only going to be 1 point extra, they will sometimes back out of such scenarios, let's say. So I'm excited to see what we have tonight. Guy Edwards is back with us again in the BMW, car number 55. Guy returns to the grid once more. He's definitely going to be one to watch this evening, as he was last season throughout the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. But yeah, we have what should be a 20-minute sprint race and a 30-minute feature again this evening, with a 10-car reverse grid, which I'm kind of glad about, rather than 15, which would have been pretty much the whole field. So it's going to be, frantic. Very frantic. But, we've got a smaller grid tonight, so again, hopefully if there is any frantic action, it's watered down slightly from what we've seen before at Sandown. But still, we obviously love this championship. We love these competitors because it's always so exciting, and it's great to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I'm trying to work out as well, I believe, because with the championship as closely poised as it is, there is always the possibility that the two drivers, Simon Povey and Nils Court, could be tied on points at the end of the evening. And I think in that eventuality, it would be Nils Court who would take the championship based on countback of race victories. Highest performance, I think, would be in favour of Nils Court, because I think he's had, is it 3 victories so far this season as Nils?
I'm just checking the points sheet now, actually, and for some reason it's not loading. Thank you very much, Google Drive. Thank you very... Oh, it's just done it now as I say that. Nils Court so far this season has had 2 wins and 2 third places. Simon Povey's had 2 wins but 3 second places and a 3rd place. So on countback it would be Simon's if the points remained even.
However, of course, for Nils Court to make it a tied game, he might need to win a race here tonight, and then that would tip the scales in his favour. So it is a really important evening for Nils Court. Of course, why wouldn't it be? He's chasing down a championship with Simon Povey, who I can tell is a driver, when he gets in the lead of a championship, is very hard to overthrow. He's just so clever about how he approaches those races in terms of thinking about the game, thinking about the strategy in the long con. And obviously it's coming down to the wire. But I think we'll see Simon, knowing that he has that advantage, just play it a bit safer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about bigger picture stuff, isn't it, at this sharp end of a championship. So We'll have to wait and see what the drivers do. Adam Watson is really on a mission at the moment, though. His practice time is fantastic, over a tenth of a second clear of Nils Kor. Nearly 2/10 clear of Simon Povey as well. Gary Toller highlighted him a moment ago. He's going really well at the moment in the Porsche. There's 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. The highest placed Mercedes is Andre Meyrek in 7th position. But Gary's had a bit of an up and down season so far, but it's great to see him going well once again near the front end of the order, and we hope that for his sake that carries on with qualifying. But Barney the flagman waves it, and as you see the gorgeous coast of Australia here at Phillip Island, the drivers will all disappear and then reappear in the pit lane to get qualifying underway. Now, what we've seen so far this season here, Ed, at this point of the night in particular, is that certain drivers sometimes, they're a little bit better when it comes to practice than qualifying, because they can get away with having an incident point here and there on their lap, can't they? So we don't always get a perfect representation of the laps from practice alone.
Yeah, I think there are a few areas on this Phillip Island circuit where if you run a little bit wide, I believe it's going through, is it turn 4 on the exit there, where you get a little bit of runoff. Sometimes if you push a little bit too hard, you save a lot of time, but you also get that incident limit that would invalidate your lap if it was a qualifying session. So, there we go. Another thing to note as well is because this is a heat format, we'll say it again, the drivers do not have a chance to finish the laps that they start when that clock ticks down to 0. So, it's all about pushing very hard very quickly to get those times in, because you never know what's going to happen later in the session with traffic and with maybe the track evolution maybe going away from you.
A quick word at this point as well to the sponsors of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour: Oris Digital, Crockery Direct and Derbyshire Holiday Homes, all of which I believe have signed up to be sponsors of the upcoming Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge 4th season as well. So we thank them once again for their continued support for our campaigns and what we do here at Sim Racing Magazine, and of course at Chaz Draycott Media. It is an absolute joy to work with you guys, and we really do appreciate your support. Not only that, but of course Crockery Direct provides some fantastic medals and certificates for move of the race, safest driver, and even the podium finishers and race winners, don't they, Ed? So throughout the season there are little prizes given out here and there, and it just makes it that bit more special for everybody, doesn't it?
That was interesting from Nils Kor. It was just an outlap, and he's gone straight into the pits afterwards, not attempting a fastest lap or a qualifying attempt. So that's very intriguing. If he's just going to go through, he's maybe trying to find a gap while also burning the fuel, because on the limiter, if you're pressing the foot flat to the accelerator, you do burn a little bit of fuel off, and also maybe he's seen the chance to go through and build that gap. He's got clear traffic behind him and I think clear road ahead. So this could work in his favour, actually.
Yeah, he's got Toby Johns behind him in the McLaren, and on paper he is quicker than Toby, so I don't think he's got much to worry about there. We've got initial lap times coming through, of course, but nothing to worry about there at the moment. Philip Hopley's just put a time on the board. Good to see Philip back once again. He's had a couple of connection issues throughout the season, which is a shame, but he's another one of those drivers that's very persistent, very consistent, although he's just gone a little bit too deep through turn 1 there. Easy to do that. Good evening to Ryan Penny, who's in the YouTube chat. He says, evening Chaz and Ed, with a big thumbs up. Hope you're doing well, Ryan. Good to see you, mate. I'll be commentating on you again tomorrow, I believe, Sunshine, for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series. They go to their season penultimate round, let's say, at Sebring in the Porsche 992 GT3Rs, GT3 cars. They are absolutely sublime machines, they are. But we need to look now at the championship protagonists. Simon Povey, all on his own on the circuit. Nils Kor, pretty much on his own on the circuit. Third in the championship is Dominic Brennan as well at the moment. We don't forget about Dom tonight because he wants to hold on to third in the championship. I think he was third in the GT4 Challenge as well, wasn't he, in Season 3? So he needs to...
My brain now. It might have been either third or fourth. I can't
He was third.
remember.
Yeah, third, just behind Nils Kor as well, funnily enough.
Will that be the same? Will it be Nils Kor having to finish second once more in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4? Not quite the challenge, but the Winter Tour. Or is he going to be able to finally taste glory? This has been the season for Nils Kor, really, where he's had his first victory in the SRM family, hasn't he? It's been really great to see him evolve into a true title contender. We saw it in flashes in Season 3, where he had good results, was leading for long periods, but then the strategy just went away from him when it was inevitably James Holman trying something different with that tricky little Porsche that just seemed to be his kryptonite. But now he really has evolved as a driver, and I think regardless of what we see from the rest of this evening from Nils Kor, I think he can be very proud of the job he's done this season.
Absolutely. You know, getting that first win under the SRM banner and under the umbrella of series and events that we do. It was such a popular race victory. Everybody was so happy for him, you know. It was lovely. Really lovely to see it. We've got some fighting going on at the moment with the purple sectors. Adam Watson and Dominic Brennan both set in purples. We've got green sectors coming in also from Adam in the middle sector, and Gary Tall as well in sectors 1 and 2. Here comes Adam to the line then in the Aston Martin, powering down the start-finish straight. Sounds like a rolling thunderstorm. No improvement in that final sector. He lets off the gas, and it's still enough to go fastest though. Great stuff by Adam Watson. Gary Tall there, bringing Dominic Brennan across the line. Brennan then goes fastest again, so Dominic goes back to the top. Andre Mayerek was in 4th position for a moment. Guy Edwards also improving there. Toby Johns is the next one to cross the line after Nils Kor, actually. Nils is just up the road here. And across the line he goes. 3rd fastest for him. 0.3 of a second off this moment in time. Then Toby Johns with the McLaren. He crosses the line and goes 13th fastest. And it's Mike Murphy. He's back with us again tonight for Minardi Simsport Green. And Heinz Mayer, Kim Such. Philip Hopley's about to complete his lap as well. The cars sort of do this weird bounce. It's almost like the bump mapping of the actual surface doesn't quite match the circuit there. It's really weird. They look like they sort of float down the start-finish straight. Povey crosses the line. And he's only 15th fastest there. He definitely backed off on that one there, Ed. I think he's let some of the traffic go to try and crack on with it now.
Yeah, it's all like getting those tyres into the perfect window, which I think is what we saw Nils Kor doing on that run through the pit lane. It's just getting the tyres slowly warmed up, not taking too much wear out of the rubber while keeping the temperatures slowly but surely climbing. Let's have a look at this. Was, I think, Kim Such, was it just through turn 1, just over rotating, which is a real downfall of that Porsche, is that it just has that tendency to over rotate through those longer corners, especially with the bumps that can unsettle the rhythm of that car. It's so easily done. Adam Watson now up to the line. Can he go faster? He's going to be close to his previous time. He goes quicker, but not quicker than Dominic Brennan, who stays fastest in this qualifying session. Gary Tall coming up to the line again, not really gelling with this circuit in the Porsche, even though he is currently 7th place. Guy Edwards and Taylor Adams going 4th and 5th. Nils Kor, green sectors improving all the way across the board. But at the end, I don't think he's done enough to get up ahead of Adam Watson. No, it is not. He stays 3rd as well. As we see, that's Taylor Adams just again, the over-rotating. It's catching a few of these drivers out these corners.
Yeah, he just clipped the grass the tiniest bit, I think, and that's what upset the car. I think he was wrapping up after a lap anyway. He's only 2 points behind Adam Watson in the championship as well. Don't forget, Adam had a really unlucky start to the season with technical issues at Fuji, which stopped him from competing at full chat. Yeah, Simon's definitely got it. Look at that. 1.5 tenths almost, and he's ahead of his teammate as well. A 1-2 for Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped at this moment in time. You love to see it. I do. But that is very, very strong. And that's exactly what they need to win this championship for the teams as well. There is a small prize for the teams champions. And it would be the first time, I believe, that a Spontex CDM Esports team has won a championship. So I'll have to try and rein in the bias, of course, being the team manager. But it's still great to see it. It's only a bit of fun anyway with the team. You know, we're not a serious esports team that goes off chasing everything. It's just a colour scheme that some people run that I like in championships that I have involvement with. Here's Mark Johnson. We've not seen much of Mark yet tonight. He's inside the top 10 at the moment for Legends Racing in this gorgeous orange livery. I believe it's one of the TF Sport liveries, this one, or is that one of his old liveries?
I think that might have been one of his older liveries, was I think one of the TF Sport
Oh yeah,
liveries.
it was the Four Horsemen liveries, wasn't it? That was the T-Sport, TF Sport.
Andre Mayerek improving up to 6th position. Pretty good going there in that Mercedes. One of the few drivers running the Mercedes this season. It was quite a popular car in Season 3. Saw it run pretty well to success as well in Season 2 behind the capable hands of Callum Brandt. And seemingly fallen a little bit out of love since then. Simon Povey coming onto the track for an outlap, just warming the tyres up, getting ready for the final 6 minutes of this qualifying session. Nils Kor still out there looking to improve, as is Adam Watson. Currently sits in 3rd position. No improvements though for Adam. Going to follow Kim Such, just see where he comes through. Up to the line, no improvements I think for Kim. He does actually improve his time, but not his position, so stays 15th. And come through just the grid and just see where they're all at this moment into the final 5 minutes. Nils Kor, has he got any improvements coming through, Chaz? He's got fairly clear air ahead of him. I think 2:12 is Dominic Brennan just up in front.
Jacob Money's only done 1 lap here, and he's only just done it as well, and he was 7 and a bit seconds off. Now, he did go to leave the pits early on and then suddenly stopped and then disappeared again. So I'm not quite sure if something's gone on outside of the sim for Jacob Money, but he's now back on with it. He's got clear track around him, so perfect time to get a lap in. But yeah, hopefully all is well under the hood of the BMW, and of course with Jacob as well. Love the look of that car as well, the Sapphire Sim Sport machine. They always have very tasty liveries. I like an asymmetrical livery, and that BMW certainly suits it. Same with Nils Kor, actually, because theirs is asymmetrical, isn't it? No, it is symmetrical.
No,
My
it is
bad.
symmetrical, yeah. Dominic Brennan with a time that was not an improvement. I think the track might be starting to go away from some of these drivers. I think we do try and use the real life dates, so this should be the basically what was the height of the Australian summer, which is where it will be pretty toasty out on the track.
Yeah, look at that. 52 degrees Celsius track temperature, 52% humidity, and it's only 24 degrees air temperature, so it's not a mighty hot day, but the sunshine is really battering down on the track and heating it up. And that's not doing the cardboard cars too bad at the moment, as Simon Povey and Dominic Brennan are 1st and 2nd on the grid as it stands ahead of Altitude Esports, Adam Watson and Nils Kor for Satellite Racing. Only 1 point between each position in these races, don't forget. So every position, as you see it, is literally a point off a rival. So it's very literal when you see the drivers out on the circuit for these 2 races. This is Ben Chalcraft for Minardi Simsport. 0.3 of a second off his teammate at the moment, the boss man, Nico Minardi. Had a fantastic call with Nico last week, actually. We said we were going to have a quick chat about a few business ideas, and then we were on the phone, I think, for about 2 hours. But he's a lovely bloke, is Nico. Really, really top bloke. And the guys that support him as well, Ben and, of course, Mike Murphy, also lovely, lovely human beings. I've raced with them for a long time on the likes of Circuit Superstars and even Karting Superstars. And even on iRacing, these boys are talented, and they are quick. Because, I mean, you and I have both seen it firsthand, Ed. This championship and the people within are mighty rapid, and it's not something you can just jump in and be quick in, is it?
No, it isn't. Certainly if I was to jump back into the Racing Magazine GT4 tour, I would certainly not be up in the contention where I was fighting for race victories. Not a chance. Of Simon Povey, he's just at purple 1st sector at a time where all the other drivers are struggling around here. Simon Povey finding a little bit of rhythm. Could this be enough to really secure that pole position, rounding out of the final bend and the long drive up towards the finish line? Purple in the final sector. That is probably going to improve even further. Yes, it is. Now 0.2 of a second the cushion he has to his teammate Dominic Brennan, and this is perfect for Simon because now he's going to have his teammate as a rear gunner for most of this first race.
And Dominic Brennan is 3rd in the championship as well, trying to stay ahead of this man, Adam Watson. He's got 11 points over Adam. Arthur Thurtle is the car between them, so he doesn't need to worry about Arthur tonight. But Adam will cross the line and see that time from Simon Povey and think, good Lord, what have we got to do to get near that? Now, Chalcraft is about to cross the line, then Nils Kor. Is Nils going to cross the line? Oh, no, this will be his last lap. It's 1 minute 35 for a fast lap, so this is going to be Nils' final attempt, and there's no improvements there. It's a real shame for him. I think he was maybe trying to wind up another one. Either that or he's made a mistake around here, but it's Simon Povey from Dominic Brennan, Adam Watson, Nils Kor, Guy Edwards, Andre Mayeret going well, Taylor Adams in 7th, he's quite high up in the championship as well, and it's Gary Tall, Mike Murphy and Mark Johnson currently rounds out our top 10. Kim Such is on the latter part of a lap, although it seems like he might be coming in. Toby Johns just crossed the line as well. But there's only a few drivers coming across the line now, Ed, and no greens and purples to be seen.
Yeah, no improvements at all for any of the drivers out there at this moment. So Simon Povey, I don't know where he pulled that lap time out at the moment where the circuit was really just heating up and the drivers were struggling to find that rhythm yet again. It's working wonders for him. Now, Taylor Adams, a driver that I don't think we saw last time out, did we?
No.
Sandown, but a driver that has been a real surprise package, I think. We've seen in these endurance races especially, he has the strategy completely nailed, which will really see him good for the next season in the new year, where you do tend to run a few more endurance races. He's been sort of a driver that has flown under the radar quite a lot.
Absolutely. Gary Toll just completes a lap, and that is going to be it for the session, because as the clock hits 0, you will literally hear it go dead. You can hear the kookaburras in the background. That is about it. And now it's go time for the first race of the night. Simon Povey takes pole position with his teammate Dominic Brennan alongside him. Then it's Adam Watson and Nils Kaur on row 2. Guy Edwards and Andre Mayorak next up on row 3, with Taylor Adams in row 4 with Gary Tull. Then it's Mike Murphy and Mark Johnson with Philip Hopley and Nico Minardi. Then it's Ben Chalcraft and Jacob Money 13th and 14th. Heinz Mayer and Kim Such 15th and 16th. Toby Johns completes our 17-car field. Now it looks like, Ed, they're going to do a full lap here at Phillip Island. Now that intrigues me because usually you get the option to choose a short lap round here, and I'm pretty sure I gave it one, but clearly not. These guys aren't going to be my friend after this. There might even be a bit of fuel saving here. Because one important point, sorry I'm rambling now, but one important point about tonight is that the cars are all on 60% fuel. So we'd said previously that the limit had been increased to 60%. But the sprint fixed setup that we use from iRacing didn't have 60% fuel in it to begin with. So what the sim does is obviously bring it down to whatever fuel. It'll never take it up to whatever fuel you tell it to. So we've made adjustments to all the setups on the cars, literally just adding more fuel in, and then the sim limits it at 60%. So that's what they all have. But it's a Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped front row. Some say not the prettiest cars you'll ever see, the brown and green McLarens. But it's certainly been a concept, I think, that's caught a few eyes this season, and Simon Dominic giving it one final hurrah from the front row.
Here we go. Formation flying. Will be wonderful for some screenshots, won't it? The drivers getting ready for the second to last time they'll be able to race in anger in this GT4 Winter Tour. And what a pole position that was from Simon Povey. Really, really strong drive at a time where it's so desperately needed, with the likes of Nils Kaur chasing him down. Adam Watson's there as well. He'll be eager to try and get one over on Dominic Brennan, like you say, in that battle for third in this championship that's ever so tight. But right now it's all eyes on Simon Povey, and if he is able to get the jump on the rest of the field down into that turn 1. So easy just to miscalculate. Sorry, Chaz, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's going to be a really interesting one, isn't it, into the first couple of corners here, because the pole sitter and everybody that's on the leading position on their row will be on the inside for the first part, but then you've got 2 long left-handers after that. So if the person on your left-hand side can really hang it around the outside long enough, they may actually have the advantage out of all of these people here. So a lot of commitment from drivers in the first couple of corners. It's going to go a long way in this race, I reckon, because it's not going to be easy to overtake it.
Certainly not. Certainly going to be tricky, but I think it's a little bit more open and wider than we saw at Sandown. So I think drivers will be able to make those moves, and with the long run down into turn 1, plenty of opportunity for slipstream as well to potentially shake up the field as well. But right now, we are getting ever so close to the start of, well, the second to last race of this season, the sprint race. I think it's 20 minutes for these drivers to hopefully get through unscathed, because, of course, with the top 10 reverse grid, if you have a bad race to start with and finish outside that top 10, that will just carry over into the next one. I think Simon's already bolted.
He absolutely has. Pace car goes in, and round 8 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour gets underway, and everybody streams down towards the first corner, and there's a lot of single file racing already, but it's Adam Watson side by side with Dominic Brennan for second place. Rear gunner Dominic is having to really work hard now, and Adam sends it up the inside. Dominic says no thank you, I don't fancy any of that, and Adam goes chasing after the race leader already. A lovely tidy start from both of them. Simon went really early though and sort of opened it up to that attack, I'd say, from Adam. Everyone else keeping it tidy. We've got the two Oris Racing cars, green and yellow, side by side here. That is Heinz Mayer and Kim Such. They've got Toby Johns in there for company, but Povey continues to lead after the first couple of corners there, Ed. Nice tidy stuff from everybody behind. Niels Core is in the thick of it as well.
There he is. He's trying to hold off an attack from behind, and he's just been pitched around.
No.
Who was that? That was Guy Edwards. I think just a little bit too late on the race. We know how tricky it is in these cars. When you dip into the ABS, the car will just go straight on. As I think Nico Minardi was just stuck around the outside and maybe got tagged in all of that as well. But that is potentially already game over for Niels Core.
That is big championship implications, that is. Guy Edwards was looking down the inside and then all of a sudden, just definitely too late on the brakes, hit the inside of his fellow BMW driver and hit the front right very hard. That's going to be a big scratch, I think. And hopefully hasn't caused any steering damage. Yeah, Nico was just stuck on the outside with nowhere else to go. I think there was a little bit of contact. Might have been Mark Johnson that had a bit of contact with him there and ended up around. Andre Mayerek now is in 4th place after all of that. He's going to be laughing to the bank. Mark Johnson's gained 3 places in that opening lap as well, so he'll certainly be pleased with it. And Niels Core will be fuming and wanting to go back forward again. The right-hand side of that BMW now in bits. Philip Hopley has had a good start. He's inside the top 10. But will Nils play the game here and use the reverse grid pole position? I don't think he's really got the chance, has he? Because he's got two feisty BMW drivers behind him, of Jacob Money and Guy Edwards.
I think if he was to try and go for that top 10 reverse grid with Simon Povey being where he is, Simon could seal the championship here, to be honest, with this race victory. So he desperately needs to try and claw back those points and hope that maybe Adam Watson can get ahead of Simon, maybe Andre Mayerek will get in the mix as well. Dominic Brennan as well is not likely to battle too hard with his teammate, but might need to if he feels that 3rd place will just fall away from him. Yeah, right now it's just a desperately tricky situation for Niels Core, who's been just woefully unlucky over these past couple of rounds, hasn't he, Chaz? I mean, we saw at Sandown he was bashed from pillar to post through no real fault of his own. He was just unfortunate to be in the wrong place where drivers just outbroke themselves into him.
Yeah, it's just always been the way, hasn't it? As it's side by side for the lead, actually. I didn't realise that Adam Watson had got close enough to Simon Povey to try and move, but he did get down the inside for just a moment and managed to sneak ahead for just a sec on the exit, but seemingly overdid it a little bit. Dominic Brennan's going to have a front row seat to all of this now. He's going to try and help his teammate Simon Povey. Simon doesn't want to give away a single point here. Listen to that McLaren, it's almost like it just goes into 0 power mode when you hit it into 6th gear there. The revs drop so much. Look at them trail braking around the first corner. That's where the Porsche comes unstuck as well, isn't it? With the rear brakes just trying to snag whatever weight they can away from the rear end. So easy to overdo it, but this is great entertainment already with 16.5 minutes left to go here at Phillip Island. There's been another move further back as Niels Core has now got past Mark Johnson.
There we go, Niels Core making the progress that he needs to. 20 minutes of this race, well, we've already had 4 of them. So the opportunities will start to become vanishingly thin for Niels to get back up into this championship. Certainly no real shot at a podium because, I mean, look at how close Adam Watson is to the back of Simon Povey. But this front 3, they've really just started to check out from the chasing pack behind. Andre Mayerek is, I think, having to hold on to 4th place from Taylor Adams and Gary Tall chasing him down. But right now, Adam Watson, he's going to look to set this move up a few corners in advance if he can. Maybe just by throwing Simon into a slightly compromised line all the way out of this corner and into the next couple of left-handers. Struggling though, you can see the dirty air. It's really affecting his car. I remember driving around here in the little Formula Mazdas. If you were right behind a car up ahead, you would struggle so much to get that power down. It would just be kicking out constantly.
We've got a bit of a train further back here. Phillip Hopley ahead of Niels Core, then Guy Edwards, then Mark Johnson, then Jacob Money, and then Ben Shellcraft as well. Simon Povey does the fastest lap of the race, and it's definitely race on near the front of the pack, but there's some fantastic battles going on a bit further down as well. We may only have 17 of our original 30 cars on the grid here tonight, but I tell you what, it's 17 very entertaining drivers that we have as Jacob Money goes down the inside of Mark Johnson. Mark gives him plenty of room. Jacob doing likewise. Ben Shellcraft can sniff an opportunity here, and he looks down the inside now that Jacob's run wide. Oh, Jacob cuts back across the apex, so says no thank you, don't want any of that. And he's now going to try and make a move on Mark Johnson, as he seems like Mark's got a little bit of damage on the front right of his car. Like I say, I think it was him and Nico Minardi that came together earlier. Nico's only a few seconds behind them though. He's not lost a lot of ground from it as Money looks down the inside. Oh, it always looks very scary from that camera angle, doesn't it? Oh, it was scary on the exit though. I think Mark got a really poor run and Jacob's just bounced off the side of him for a sec there. I don't think he expected Mark to run that wide. Look at the size of the BMW compared to the Aston Martin though, Ed. It's just a colossal beast, isn't it?
Lovely run that by Jacob Money all the way around the outside of that long left-hander.
Oh!
Ooh, what was that? That was like a shoulder barge nearly on Phillip Hopley by Niels Core. It didn't look at all like egregious or aggressive. They were side by side. Then all of a sudden, Phillip Hopley just got a little bit of a touch and just was sent flying. We'll have a look here. It doesn't seem like it. Oh, it's completely just netcode. There was no contact whatsoever. It looked from an angle there was like there might have been a little bit of contact, but from that aerial shot you could see that there was nowhere near. And then Mark Johnson late on the brakes, just seemingly coming into the rear end of Jacob Money. Yeah, Niels Core was nowhere near Phillip Hopley, yet for some reason the netcode, and again it's touching on what you said earlier on in the broadcast, Chaz, his connection, Phillip's connection is just struggling a little bit.
Yeah, it has done over the course of the season, unfortunately, and it's part and parcel of online racing sometimes that it won't always go your way. Getting a few frame stutters at my end as well at the moment, so I do apologise for that, everybody. Taylor Adams here in 5th place ahead of Gary Tall. Gary in the Porsche trying to do the honours for the German manufacturer. Simon Povey continues to lead this race. 2.6 seconds is the gap between Dominic Brennan and Adam Watson as well, by the way. So it seems like Simon and Adam have either disappeared or Dominic Brennan's had a moment of his own and made a mistake somewhere, because he's falling into the clutches of Andre Mayerek, who's having a really strong showing here in this penultimate race of the season. Just having a look at where Andre's finished. His highest point score was actually at the last race in round 7 of the championship at Sandown. He scored 10 points, which would have meant that he finished in 6th position. So he's 2 places ahead of his personal best right now. So having a good run of it in the Mercedes.
Yeah, seemingly going all right for Andre at this moment in time. Needs to be wary of Taylor Adams though, because we know later on in the races he does come very good. Out in front, Simon Povey fending off Adam Watson in towards turn 1. That gap's starting to build lap after lap as Simon gets more and more comfortable. A pair of them have actually broken away a fair chunk from Dominic Brennan, who I'm not sure if he's had like a mistake on the previous lap or something, but that gap has really just increased massively without us really paying attention to it.
Yeah, he's really dropped off the pace, hasn't he? I wonder whether there's going to be any drivers tonight that struggle with tyres, because we've seen that some drivers really do push the tyres compared to others, and obviously on a night like this, on sprint race nights when there's no sort of lingering around and no pit stops, it's very easy to overdo it on the tyres and you will really wear them out quickly. So we'll have to wait and see what comes their way, but this is shaping up to be a spicy little fight now. Gary Toll in the lovely Porsche chasing the bright pink metallic Aston Martin, chasing the black and purple menacing Mercedes of Andre Mayerek. Neither of these guys really in with a sort of championship fight, but still, it's that close all the way through the points. You need to just get every single point you can, really, don't you, Ed? Because you never know where you're going to end up.
It's so tricky to have that sort of knowledge in your head of exactly where you will be at each and every moment, but right now, with Gary Tall finds himself, just needs to play it safe for now. We've got 10 minutes to go in this race. Just focus on trying to build this gap. He's got Mike Murphy in behind, around about 1.5 seconds back. So it's just all about focusing on that gap to the car behind and just building it, working together with those that you're going to try and beat later on to have the cushion to properly fight in those closing stages.
Love this
Brennan
run.
again dropping back actually from the leader. Sorry, Chaz, but he might be at risk. We'll have a look at the times between him and Andre Myrek, but he could be falling back even further.
Yeah, he was still a tenth and a 2/10 of a second quicker than Myrek on that last lap, but yeah, compared to the guys in front, he was 4/10 and 5/10 off what they were doing. Simon Povey did a 35.6 and was one of the quickest guys out there. As there was just a moment there. Ben Chalcraft, it was, had a bit of a moment off the circuit. I think maybe the car just over-rotating on him here on the downshift. Oh, he's just gone in a little bit hot, got into the ABS. And to be fair, he's done really well there not to spin that, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's so easy at those speeds to overcorrect, and then you find yourself facing backwards or approaching a wall pretty quickly. But that was well held by Ben, obviously only losing out one position. Of course, to the teammate, never really great to lose out to your teammate. That's what the sort of battles are all about with your teammate, isn't it? Bragging rights. But for now, Ben will have to settle down and hope that that off-track excursion didn't take too much out of his tyres. It seems to be fine, as you can see the chunk taken out of Nico Minardi's left-hand side. And that was from the first lap of the race, wasn't it, where we saw him in a little bit of an issue, I think in towards turn 4 it was. For now, trying to see if there's any chance to get up into the top 10 for that all-important reverse grid pole position. It's currently held by Jacob Money. It's actually potentially a BMW front 3 for the second race of the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got this man, Niels Kaur, currently running in 8th position, would be 3rd. Guy Edwards would be 2nd in 9th overall. So, yeah, it could be a couple of tower blocks at the front of the pack in the second race.
Yeah, of course, Niels will not be hoping for that. He'll be hoping to maybe make it a Mercedes up at the front with potentially a Porsche for company with Mike Murphy and Gary Tall just up ahead of him by around about a second or so. Niels Kaur still having good pace, catching a few tenths of a second each lap on those up ahead. Out in front, Simon Povey continues to build his advantages. Further back, Philip Hopley continues to struggle a little bit with this circuit, and I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Was it just a little bit unsighted and tapping a wheel onto the gravel sort of dirt on the exit there, and then was going rallycross in there?
Yeah, it takes a long time to get back on from there as well. It's not a comfortable experience, but Simon Povey is doing everything he needs to do at the moment to gain points.
Look at the line he just took through there, completely different to Adam Watson. Simon really opened out that left-hander, and I think Adam just took a bit too much speed, and all of a sudden he lost about a couple tenths.
Yeah, sometimes there's a weird way of going from that right-hander into the next left, and some people go all the way over to the right side, and it actually opens you up for a better run around the final corner, a much tidier run. And it seems like a very sort of contradictory way of doing it, but we've seen people gain a lot of time through moving around there, and then it just depends if you're capable of making it work, I guess, because it's very easy to get that sort of move wrong around there, I suppose.
It's because it comes at a difficult point on the circuit. You're coming past a very slow corner of this sort of downhill right-hander, and you always want to try that classic tried and tested slow in, fast out. So the drivers get a little bit too eager on the throttle, trying to get too much speed out of the corner. By taking that extra speed, you run very wide, or a bit too wide, I should say, for the next corner, which is a left-hander that comes far too soon afterwards to really do anything about it. So Simon instead goes for sort of a slow in, slower out, to then go slow in, fast out at the next corner to really increase his runs. So he essentially compromises that corner, loses maybe about a tenth or so to gain about 3 tenths on the run up. We'll see it again here. Goes in and keeps it very slow and tight on the exit. Look at how tight he is compared. I mean, that's perfectly illustrated by Adam Watson, the completely different lines that they take. And yet again, it works wonders for Simon. Yeah,
he's gained another 1.5 tenths on him there, actually, on the run out of that corner alone. So really good stuff by Povey, but great chase by Adam Watson. You know, Adam's been a very flamboyant driver this season, and he's certainly put in every ounce of his pace in here to stay with Simon, and he's doing a great job. It's lovely to see him back with such performance, and he's definitely making this Aston Martin work. He and Arthur were saying last week that they only looked as exciting as they were because they were pretty much almost having a crash the whole time because the car was trying to kill them, and it did seem like the Aston's a bit bobblier and a bit more wobbly than a number of the other cars. So it's how you sort of maintain that momentum, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's especially with the Aston, the way the traction control kicks in, that doesn't seem to control the car at all. It in fact makes it harder to manage when it sort of cuts in, makes it do sort of unpredictable things. But you can see here on board with Adam, it looks a little bit more contained around this circuit. Again, look at the different lines that they're taking. Simon really wide, sort of for a late apex to get on the power, and it then helps him all the way for the run, because you're flat out through these S's until you get to sort of the crest of the hill.
There's been a move a bit further back. Niels Core has got down the inside of Mike Murphy. That gets him another position. That moves him up into 7th place. That would be 9 championship points instead of 8 for 8th place. So we'll have to see what he can make of all of this. There's been some drama further back here. Toby Johns has been off the road, and Mark Johnson has just got back going again. I'm not quite sure what's gone on between these guys.
I don't think it's not. I think it's only 4 points, Chaz, because we're using the different scoring system, aren't we? So I think he's only going to get 4 points, which would still make Simon the actual champion if we're looking at it from the heat scoring system, because Simon's going to be getting 15 points, and the points sort of drop off a little bit more after about 3rd place, I think, don't they? They go down to, I think, 8 points for 4th, 6 points for 5th place, 5 points for 6th place, and I think Niels Core will really, he's going to actually need...
I don't know where you're looking, Ed, but it's 15 points for a win, then it's 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. It's 1 point per position, as we've been discussing. 7th place is 9 points.
Oh, I'm looking somewhere else then. I'm looking at a different sheet.
My apologies. Yes, I know where you're looking. Yeah, the point scoring system that I've put into the sheet was from a different championship from before.
There we go. That's why I'm all
Sorry.
wrong.
Yeah, my bad. That's on me. That contact was a little bit unfortunate, to say the least, between Mark Johnson and Toby Johns. Mark just a little bit too hot, or did he actually even hit Toby? Not quite sure what happened there, but it didn't look like. Let's have a look at
I'm not sure if he hit Toby, but he might have been on the way to hitting him potentially. I think
there was
if there was net code, it would have still been contact like about half a second afterwards. So
yes,
that was just a case again. Getting into the ABS, the car just tramlines forwards. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it, with these GT4s?
It's absolute horror show. But right now, all that Niels Core can do is just push on, try and maybe get 6th place to make his job a little bit easier, and see if there's any way for him to get something from tonight. But right now it is just a huge struggle for Niels just to get anything. He's desperately unlucky again. We saw it at Sandown, and we're seeing it here tonight. He's just seemed to be really fortunate at the start of the season. Now all of a sudden, if he just can't catch a break, can he, Chaz?
No,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Not one bit. And he's a lovely bloke as well as Niels. Everyone in the championship is. You know, we've got such a great community behind this series and the entire Sim Racing Magazine umbrella of championships and events. And it's going to be an emotional moment to see once another championship finish again. You know, we always have these sort of, everybody all comes in and everybody puts their bit in Discord and says just how much of a good time they've had and how lovely it's been, and it's a very heartwarming and pleasant moment, but you never want to see a championship end, really. So it's going to be now all about the exciting build up to a Christmas special event, and of course the 4th season of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, which I am very much looking forward to. See who's going to be our next champion there, as we have this man, Simon Povey, the original champion, the OG, and then Lewis Ward, double champion. Amazing stuff from both of them. But Simon now is about to begin his final lap, just ahead of Adam Watson. The gap's only 1.3 seconds at the minute. Simon's held on. There's Barney waving the white flag, or the French military flag as it's known. Dominic Brennan he's stopped dropping off as much, hasn't he now, Ed? I say that, he's just dropped half a second on that lap, but before that it was staying about the same sort of gap.
He's in a bit of a lonely spot, I think, Dominic Brennan at the moment. He's got about 4.5 seconds to the car in front and about 5 seconds to the car behind. He's stuck in no man's land at this moment in time, and I think Dominic has good pace, good consistency, but not quite enough to, I think, fight with the likes of Simon and with the likes of Adam. But they're still quicker than the chasing pack in behind of Andre Myrick and Taylor Adams. So he's in that sort of nebulous zone where he's sort of just racing by his lonesome, annoyingly. But it's not going to be too bad for him, because I think at this moment he's still going to be secure enough in his defence of third place.
Yeah, I think he'll have a 10-point advantage over Adam Watson in the championship if the race finishes this way. So I'm pretty confident that he will almost have that wrapped up unless he doesn't score in the final race of the season. Bit of a poor run there by Mike Murphy out of the hairpin. That's going to give a run to Guy Edwards as they now go up the hill. Guy's been trying his hardest to work back through after the initial contact with Nils Kaur. The two of them picking off the field one by one. But we now nip back to the front of the pack, because round the final corner to take what's going to be his third race victory of the season, it's going to be Simon Povey for Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped. He's done everything he can do at the moment to try and take the championship, winning the first race of the night here at Phillip Island from Adam Watson. Great drive by Adam, and a lovely third place for Dominic Brennan, which will confirm Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped the team's champions of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour. Andre Mayerek with a great fourth place ahead of Taylor Adams, who completes the top five. Then it's Gary Toll, Nils Kaur, some damage limitation, and Jacob Money. Well, he's going to be on pole position for race 2 in this evening, Ed. Sorry, I lost my words there.
Yeah, no, he's going to be good for Jacob Money, and you can't help but feel bad for Nils Kaur, who did everything he could to climb back up the order. But I just think that little moment at the start really undid him, and then it was just a nightmare again. It's like Sandown repeating itself, but this time not as disastrous. He was able to claw back something from tonight at least. But Simon Povey, he's in a wonderful position going into this next race, the final race of the season, where I think he just needs to really just score some points, and he's going to be, I think, secure, isn't he? I think if he finishes 10th, that's going to be the championship sealed.
Yes, he is 11 points ahead of Nils Kaur now after that terrible look for the German driver. And it basically means that Simon does just need to score 5 points, and he will definitely be champion. There will be no tie and no countback, basically. Simon Povey wins the race then. Adam Watson just 1.5 seconds back. A fantastic fight back from Adam there. Dominic Brennan third place, and that alone is enough to give Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped the team's championship title. Very well done. Andre Mayerek finishes in 4th place. A really good run from him. That's his best result of the season, and on pure merit as well in the first race of the night. Taylor Adams finishes in 5th, more strong championship points, and Gary Toll gets a good score in 6th place. Nils Kaur recovers into 7th, with Mike Murphy finishing in 8th. Next up was Guy Edwards and Jacob Money, who complete the top 10, and of course the reverse grid drivers, so Jacob Money on pole with Guy Edwards alongside him. Then we have Nico Minardi and Ben Chalcraft, who will make up a Minardi Simsport 6th row of the grid for the second race of the night. Then next up we have Mark Johnson, who finished 13th after a very busy and contact-filled race there. He was ahead of Toby Johns, Heinz Mayer, who had an incident late on, and then Philip Hopley, with Kim Such 1 lap down. And it looks actually like... oh no, apologies. I thought Mark Johnson had received a penalty or something, because he was showing lower than that in my sim. But no, that is not the case at all. So, we've got a quick warm-up session here, Ed, but not really anything going on in the pit lane or any cars out on track to show everybody, unfortunately. So it just looks like a static image at this moment in time. But a great way to start the night, I think. A really tidy race. And Guy Edwards has already apologised to Nils Kaur, bless him.
Oh, bless his heart. Yeah, it's just one of those situations where if you are the car that causes that incident, you feel just absolutely awful. It was just one of those things, though, isn't it? On cold tyres, cold brakes, getting into the heaviest braking zone of that lap so far, you're going to really struggle. And I think that was just the case for Guy. It was a little misjudgment when all the cars are so close together. Nothing malicious at all from him. But as we come now, we will hopefully see some drivers out on the circuit. But again, doesn't seem to be the case.
No, it definitely doesn't. So I'm not quite sure. I'm going to spin the camera around and I'm going to have a look and see, just to show everybody that there's nobody out there on circuit. Look, there's nobody at all. No one in the pit lane. No one doing anything of interest right now, unfortunately. So sorry, everyone. But while it is blurry, there is no one there to look at. So what Ed and I are just going to do, as you should probably do as well at this point while it's quiet, is just go and get a drink, have a quick break, give it a few minutes, and we'll be right back with you here on Chaz Draycott Media. Before we do go, though, I just want to give a quick shout again to our championship sponsors, who we thank so much from the bottom of our hearts: Oris Digital, Crockery Direct, and Derbyshire Holiday Homes, and also Andy Marston of Sim Racing Magazine. I do not thank Spotify, however, who hates it when I talk for more than 30 seconds and then mutes itself. So we're going to play it again, and we'll be back in a few minutes. See you in a few, everyone. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here on Chaz Draycott Media for the finale of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour here from Phillip Island. We've got a couple of cars out on track at the moment for the warm-up session just between the two races, but Simon Povey has put himself in a very solid position right now, hasn't he, Ed, with 11 points over his nearest rival in the standings, Nils Kaur. Nils understandably devastated after that result in the last one, the contact early on.
Yeah, it was just one of those situations where it's, I think, just bad luck upon bad luck, just piling onto Nils. So it's just about him doing the best he can do now. All he can do is win this race and hope for some misfortune to go the way of Simon Povey. But I think Simon, he's coming into this final race knowing that just a point will be enough. Just, finishing inside that top 10, and he will have secured the championship for this winter tour. So that is obviously going to change how he approaches this race as well, with probably a minimum of risk being taken.
Absolutely, and of course Nils Kaur will be near the front of the grid, so he's certainly got to keep his eyes forward as well. But I'm sure that with the outright pace that he has, and a lot of the drivers that have been switched around have such great pace. I mean, to be fair, the whole top 10 are all very, very quick, so you never know how these races are going to go. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's half an hour instead of the 20 minutes that we just saw. So still, there is an element of endurance about it, isn't there? You still have to be very calm and collected and take your time with things.
Yeah, it's all about just being patient. And I think that's some of the things that we didn't see too much of in the last feature race. So hopefully we see the drivers be a little bit more cautious and a little bit more chilled about things in terms of the way they go through, especially this first opening lap when all the cars are slightly out of position with one another.
Absolutely. So we've got a long lap here of them making their way around the circuit now, so we can give it a moment for them to make their way around, but it's going to be the grid like this. Jacob Money is going to be on pole position for Sapphire Simsport with Guy Edwards alongside him, 2 BMWs on the front row. Then it's Mike Murphy in 3rd position, and championship hopeful Nils Kaur is going to be lining up in 4th place. Then it's Gary Tall in 5th with Taylor Adams in 6th. Good chance for Taylor there to nick some points off some of the drivers ahead of him in the season as well. Andre Mayerek, after a great first race, is going to start 7th with Dominic Brennan alongside him. Then we have Adam Watson in 9th place. He's going to start alongside Simon Povey. You can bet that Adam has nothing to lose in terms of moving forward here. He's going to be one to watch. Nico Minardi and Ben Chalcraft, the 2 teammates, line up on row 6. Then we have Mark Johnson and Toby Johns. They came together in the first race, hopefully not again this time round. Heinz Mayer is 15th with Philip Hopley in 16th. And Kim Such rounds out our field, Ed. As by the look of it, Adam Watson isn't he there? Adam Watson has not taken to the grid.
Oh. What's going on here?
What on earth? That's a massive shame. He's not even appeared in the pits or anything. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's some sort of disconnect or something.
Dominic Brennan, I think, secured for 3rd place in the championship.
Yeah, must be. Absolutely must be, because there was 10 points between them anyway, and now even if Adam does get in before this race starts, he's going to be way down the order, and he's going to have a pit lane start, so he'll only be able to get going once everybody else has crossed the line and disappeared off at the road. He is in the pit lane, so he is there. Not a clue what happened to Adam there, but it's similar to what we saw happen to him at Fuji. That's a massive, massive shame, that, because while sure he did get a bit of a smack on the wrists after Sandown, he's very exciting to watch because he is the driver that makes those moves and makes those overtakes, isn't he?
Yeah, it is just very, very strange. I'm very surprised to see Adam Watson not taking it to the grid, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if there's been something that's come up in between the races. Is he still in the sim? I think he's still in the sim. It doesn't say that he's disconnected. So
no, he's in the pits. He's sat in the pits. We just looked.
He's sat in the pits. He's just chilling.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether he's had a disconnect
he
or what.
He just didn't want to face another runaround.
If you want to see why, you can go into the YouTube chat. I'm not going to read it out loud. He's mentioned it in the YouTube chat. And, yeah, unfortunately, it's not a technical issue. Anyway, Jacob Money and Guy Edwards are on the front row in the 2 BMWs. I'm excited to see what the Beamers make of this battle near the front end of the pack. And obviously, without us being biased at all, we do hope for a much cleaner run of this race for Nils Kor, no unnecessary contact. Because we want as fair a fight as we can for this championship. It's still mathematically possible for Nils to do this, so we'll have to wait and see. Got 16 cars on the grid, with one in the pit lane ready to go. A couple of corners left. Quick early guesses here, Ed?
I think Nils Kor is going to be really hungry for the race victory, and we're going to see him probably try and break away out in front, but I reckon Simon is going to, I think, just chill in about that 10th or 9th place, knowing that will be enough.
Jacob Money gets us going then for the final race of the season in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour. And behind them it's Guy Edwards, Mike Murphy and Nils Kor all glued to each other. Nils moves over to the right hand side, tries to open up that gap, but Mike Murphy is there. So he has nowhere to go other than to just wait and just bide his time. Mike Murphy's running a little bit wide in front of Guy Edwards. There's a bit of a tap. Is Mike Murphy going to go deep? No, he somehow got it slowed down. Taylor Adams down the inside of Gary Tall. Oh, there's contact there again on the back of Nils Kor. Gary Tall sideways hits Dominic Brennan, his stablemate. The two of them somehow both survive it. Simon Povey wants to come through this as well now. He's side by side with Nico Minardi and the two McLarens as they head down towards turn 4. Guy Edwards and Nils Kor side by side again. Are you sure, boys? Nils trying the inside, Guy almost making a point of letting him through this time round, and Nils goes through into 3rd place.
Yeah, I think Guy was braking about 10 metres earlier than he did last time, just to be extra safe that we weren't going to have a repeat of that first race. Right now is Nils Kor working on that front position occupied by Jacob Money. In that Sapphire Sim Sport car is the BMWs that head the front of the field, with Mike Murphy in the mix in his McLaren, that Minardi Sim Sport green car.
Gary Tall's lost 6 places at the start after that contact. You know, he's had a nightmare start because of that, but he's still in the fight and hoping to gain more places. Andre Mayerek just in front, then Mark Johnson, who's gained 4 spots, by the way, in the opening moments. Nico Minardi's also gained 4 places, so those guys having a really good initial lap here in the final race of the season at Phillip Island, but it's half an hour long, so tyre life is going to be oh so important here this time round, Ed. They really need to think about it, don't they?
It's so important, especially with the track temperatures. They say as hot as they are, the races that being that little bit longer, it's Kim Such. This was through the final corner. And just struggling. Oh, this time we're running wide, and then the car just has no traction. We're just keeping it out of the barriers.
Oh.
Adam Watson, his eyes were on stalks then.
Now, interestingly, I'm not sure if this is going to catch up, but it's only saying that Adam has done a 1/3 of a lap. He's not done like a full lap of the race yet. It's showing that Adam's a lap down on everybody else, as you can see. So I'm not quite sure if that's correct, because technically he had a pit lane start. So hopefully after the next lap, that catches up, because that would be massively unfair on him if the sim decided he was a lap down. Because they all did the warm-up lap, didn't they? The pace lap. So that's what it's not counting that Adam has done. That's really strange.
That is very strange. I don't think I've seen that before, but
I don't remember it doing that at Fuji. Simple as that.
Nils Kor they're going on board with to see chase Mike Murphy and Jacob Money. Meanwhile, his championship rival Simon Povey is in 8th position, in behind another McLaren, Minardi McLaren of Nico Minardi. Simon with a nice exit out of that final corner. Might be looking for another position. Doesn't need to, of course, take any unnecessary risks, and I think he's acutely aware of that fact, being is that he stays in behind for now.
Nils Kor goes second.
Slides his way through.
Oh, it was close behind.
Mike Murphy's trying to cover off Guy Edwards, who I think has gotten on side. No, he hasn't. He's slightly in behind. Meanwhile, Taylor Adams and Dominic Brennan battling side by side. The outside will then become the inside line. Flex right-hander.
Oh, Jacob Money's gone deep. Jacob Money's lost the race lead. Nils Kor goes to the front. Jacob Money was all of a sudden very, very slow going through into those 2 corners. What on earth was that about?
What was that about? Yeah, that is intriguing. We'll have a look here and just see. Just runs far too deep, and Nils says thank you very much. Sees the gap, goes for it. Wonderful stuff.
Oh, there's been drama further back. Toby John's losing time. Heinz Mayer is off the road. Whoa, he's way off the road. He's almost in New Zealand. Is Heinz Mayer. What's gone on here? Oh, Toby Johns was wide on the exit of the corner. Heinz has gone to go past him. Oh, he's just hooked him. Hooks him around. And Heinz somehow doesn't hit the barrier. Wow. What on earth is going on?
Yeah, I don't know if you can really see well from that angle, but it's the thing when these cars do make contact, they can kind of hook around one another and almost become stuck together. We'll have a look here. So you see Toby John slow off of the corner.
Oh, it just doesn't leave the room.
No room left, and then that just pitches Heinz Mayer into a spin. Meanwhile, Jacob Money is having to get his elbows out to keep Mike Murphy and co behind. You can see that long train of cars snaking its way behind as Nils Cora has gotten into the lead of the race and is checking out his gap now over 1 second.
Now, what's been going on with Jacob Money? I'm not sure if he's got some sort of technical issue, but he's just not on the pace that we normally see him on. Jacob's a very, very quick driver in this championship. And he's now just absolutely losing time as Mike Murphy goes down the inside, then the outside, through the next hairpin. Careful, boys. It's very close through there. Mike's run wide. Guy Edwards says, thanks very much. I'll have a bit of that as well. He doesn't quite get the perfect run, though. He has to take evasive action. We're just behind them. Dominic Brennan, who's pretty much secured third in the championship, is waiting for a piece of the pie. Boy, oh boy, this is all closer. BMW down the inside. That's BMW's 1, 2, 3 here at Phillip Island. Here's Taylor Adams' view of it. Everyone runs wide over the apex, over the exit, or the crest. There's the final word. Dominic Brennan's now behind Taylor Adams as he's suddenly been overtaken again. Everyone's checking up on the exit. This is mayhem. There's nowhere to overtake. Simon Povey's got to be so careful here, though, Ed, because he could throw away points. He's only in 7th place. If he loses a bunch of positions, then it's going to be game over.
This is not what Simon wants to see in front of him at all. Those cars battling as close as they are, getting dangerously close to an incident as well. Thankfully, they've all kept it nice and clean, which is wonderful to see. I think it's still side by side out ahead as well. I think Guy Edwards and Jacob Money battling away. Jacob Money actually losing out now to Guy Edwards, who makes that position up into second. I think Jacob Money might fight it back though in towards turn 4. They've got a little left kink and then the right-hander. Jacob's been a little bit too late on the brakes through here though, so needs to be careful to not make that same mistake this time around. You can see actually braking a little bit earlier, trailing the car into this right-hander as Mike Murphy, I think, was fending off Taylor Adams, who was looking racy. Simon Povey's still in behind his Swantech CDM Esports Unwrapped teammate. Swantech CDM Esports Unwrapped have secured first position in the team's championship, if my maths is correct, Chaz.
Yes, indeed. As of the last race, they have won that, as announced. And Simon and Dominic now just stuck together in the middle of the pack here, like a pair of wet cardboard boxes behind a dumpster around the back of Aldi. But this train, look at that coming over the hill. That looks fantastic, doesn't it? All the different cars, their shapes and colours, different manufacturers, all different liveries. This is why we love the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge and GT4 Winter Tour. It's just such great liveries on show and a fantastic mix as well of the cars. The balance of performance in GT4 cars here on iRacing is absolutely awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very close. They haven't really done a whole lot to them in the longest time. I think it's just the drivers getting accustomed to how they all handle and operate against them for one another. So their strengths and weaknesses really do balance out wonderfully, especially with the format that we use.
Whoa, go on, Gary.
Sprint races as Gary's very racy at the inside. Andre, though, holding firm all the way around the outside. Is that going to give him the run off of the corner in towards this right-hander? You've obviously got the left-hand kink where he's going to drop back a little bit further. But then, as long as he's sufficiently alongside, it should be a little bit easier. Brakes a touch early. Is that going to cause him to lose that position? I think it does. Gary Tall making it into 10th place, just ahead of Andre.
Well, Andre was defending.
Really racy.
Sorry, it was Gary defending from Andre to begin with in that one. So So Gary's only just held on to that up for now. And look at that round the outside by Adam Watson. Great run by him on Ben Chalcraft. That gives him another point in the championship, but he's not going to have enough to say about this man, Dominic Brennan, who currently runs in 6th position, but still in amongst all of this. Nils Court is going to be laughing all the way to the bank here, because he's going to be on for his 3rd race win if it goes this way. Not that way, though. Gary tall around. Adam Watson goes past him. Andre Mayret goes past him. Has he done it on his own? Yeah, the back end's gone around. Lucky to not get collected there.
Very fortunate indeed. Taking a lot of speed into that corner, and then when the rear end snaps, it can really go anywhere. Thankfully it was just safely off to the side of the circuit there, but that was heart and mouth stuff for Gary Tall. Guy Edwards ahead of this man Jacob Money. Currently that gap is around about a second now, so Guy Edwards is putting a real mean shift in. And actually last lap was just a little bit quicker than Nils Court, though Nils, with that time out in front, has been able to build a pretty comfortable 3 seconds. As you can see now side by side, this is Mike Murphy and Dominic Brennan battling away. I think Dominic Brennan's just got the better of him, and is that going to maybe... Ooh, no, there isn't. It's a fight back on the apex. Lovely stuff there by Mike. And Simon, is he going to try and take advantage now as the 2 Spontex cars go side by side? I think Simon, just around the outside, you can see giving up the ghost as Adam Watson is, well, in a bit of strife now. It seems to be that 10th place is a bit of a tricky one to get up towards to start fighting for.
Yeah, not quite sure what's happened to Adam here. He's just gone way over the inside curb and the car's just looped on him. I saw him take a lot of that curb earlier, and I did wonder whether that was going to catch him out at all, because Adam's great at controlling the back end of that car and really sliding it around. But I did wonder if there was ever going to be a point where the car got a little bit too upset. Now, I think Taylor Adams is playing a clever race here. He's not attacking Simon Povey too much. Simon's just sitting there in 6th position now, which will give him 10 championship points. Dominic Brennan up to 5th. Hang on, have we lost somebody from the front here?
No, I think we've had Nils Court, Guy Edwards and Jacob Money. I think Guy Edwards has gotten ahead of Jacob Money, and it was Mike Murphy that was in that sort of fight. I don't think we've lost anything.
Yeah, because I had Simon down as in 7th place for what feels like forever, but he's actually got...
Simon's been behind Dominic Brennan for quite some time, I think, for that 6th place. I think it might have been Taylor Adams that has dropped out of that fight in the front.
Ah, yeah. Dom and Simon both overtook Taylor on the previous lap. So, yeah, that's my mistake, everybody. Apologies. But Taylor Adams running in 7th place at the moment. He's on for 9 championship points. He will move ahead of Arthur Thurtle as well with those points, and he will tie with Adam Watson with it as it currently is. So, it's certainly in his best interest to keep trying to push. And what can you say about Simon Povey and Nils Court tonight? Both of them, if they take a win apiece tonight, it'll be very fitting that they've both done everything they can do in at least one of tonight's races to try and take the overall crown. You have to feel sorry that it was obviously almost determined by that contact. There was a 5-point gap between the two of them, but with Nils Court not really getting a clean shot at that first race, you have to feel for him. But now, I mean, Simon's still got to manage this race. We've still got 17 and a half minutes left of this one, so it's not over to the fat lady sings.
No, not yet. She's just doing her vocal exercises for now, for the next 17 minutes or so, or however long is left in this race. But for now, certainly not looking favourable for Nils, but we did say even before the start of qualifying that Nils can be very happy with the performance he's put out this season. He's been a real revelation, especially in this sort of mini season, the Winter Tour, where we saw him get his first race victory, the first race at Fuji, following a brilliant strategy called to overthrow not only Simon Povey but also Arthur Thurtle. It was a wonderful race that sadly I wasn't able to be a part of, but was able to catch up and watch with excitement and bated breath. It was a real opener to remember, I think, in terms of the way that this season was to shape up.
Look at this. Oh, no.
What on earth is going on here? They're going 3 wide. I don't even know if they're intending on this, but it's going to be ever so close and tight in towards this left-hander. Simon Povey, I think, taking advantage wonderfully. Again, taking a minimal risk with going side by side with his teammate. Who would have known he was there. This was Mike Murphy, going up the inside, and I think just outbraking himself, which caused all of the kerfuffle. But then Brennan, lovely opportunistic look to the inside, but didn't pay off either.
I think Jacob Money just turns in not expecting Dominic to be there, you know. I think he was so focused on where Mike was that he didn't know Dominic had managed to sneak up the inside look. So Dominic's on the apex and Jacob just turns into the front of him. Don't think he knew he was there.
I think he would have got the call that there was a car on his right pretty much just before that contact was made, because the wider line he takes in for that later apex, it does sort of throw it off a little bit, the iRacing spotter. Look at them all weaving around on the straight, nose to tail. He's going to be pushing them into the next corner. Simon looks just for a brief second up the inside of Jake Money, who, like you say, is certainly struggling. I'm not sure if he's just cooked the tyres or has got some sort of issue plaguing him, but he certainly seems off the pace.
So close, isn't it, with all of these guys right now. It's great racing once again, though, and very different to what we see in our endurance races. The intrigue of the endurance races is that we don't know what people are going to do strategy-wise, and it's harder to tell in the sim than it is in real life. As Jacob Money moves around in the braking zone, there's contact with Simon Povey, and that puts him down in the points. That puts him 11th. Down into 12th now. Yeah, Ben Chalcraft going through. Simon's going to go back down the inside. That's going to put him back in 11th place. That's going to be 5 championship points, which means there's 1 point in it now, with Niels Kor leading this race. Unbelievable.
That is astounding. Simon's going to be just completely beside himself maybe with what just happened there, because was that nearly a repeat of what we saw happen to Niels Kor? Oh. Not really. There was a bit of a shoulder barge, and I think it was, again, Jacob Money maybe not quite having that spatial awareness. I mean, that car is maybe a bit too big for him, that BMW. It's a bit beefy, and we are used to, I think, seeing Jacob Money in behind the wheel of that little Porsche. Yeah,
that was a very strange one. The car just gradually floated over to the left on the brakes, and off goes the Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped car. Now, we did say, didn't we, that this championship can go one way then the other. Simon was just minding his own business there and got sideswiped by a big old beefy BMW. Flipping BMW drivers, man. It's always the way. I've got one, so I can say it. Mark Johnson doesn't finish in 9th place. He's going to be hoping he doesn't. He's going to be hoping he finishes the race at all if Adam Watson keeps hitting the back of him. Adam just giving him a flash. I'm quite sure what that's going to do. Mark's now going to maybe defend, move to the inside. No, Andre Mayerek is there. Mark's gone deep. And, well, forced into a mistake, I think, there by Adam Watson. Adam playing the mind games and succeeding, going down the inside. You've got to play those mind games, haven't you? You've got to get on with it. He's now up into 9th, which gives him 7 points in the championship.
Making good progress, Adam Watson, following his pit lane start, and he's got a whole gaggle of cars just up the road from him, less than a second apart from each other. Could still theoretically finish on the podium, really, with about 12 minutes or so remaining of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam can certainly make his way up the pack like that. He's one of those drivers that will make the moves in these races. He's not scared to stick it down the inside and force the issue. We'll just have to wait and see now. Jacob Money still under attack from just about everybody at the moment. Dominic Brennan, then Taylor Adams, then Nico Minardi. Biggest mover in the field so far is Nico. 4 places gained in this race for the Austrian. It's a good way to round out his season. He's had a lot of bad luck and a lot of incidents so far in the GT4 Winter Tour. As Dominic Brennan puts his nose down the inside of the BMW. Jacob says no thank you, closes the door. We'll go on board with Dominic Brennan, see how he approaches this one. You can see all the different lines here. There's like 2 or 3 different lines around just the first couple of corners, isn't there, Ed? It's one of those circuits where you can really make what you can of it.
It is just so demanding. It's why I love this track so much. It was a track that, to be honest, I hadn't actually driven until we went there for the Formula 1 season all those moons ago. And from then on, I've really just fallen in love with it because it flows so nearly effortlessly into another. Then you get that sort of like break-up almost when you get into that sort of downhill right-hander that we're going to be approaching in a little while. And then all of a sudden you've got those 2 sweeping lefts where it's just about balancing the car just on that ragged edge. It's such a wonderful circuit. It really does test driver and car.
It really does. There's so many elevation changes and off-camber corners, on-camber corners, anything you can find. Andre Merrick defending hard here from Adam Watson. He moved over to the right-hand side as well. Nico Minardi has a bit of a wobble. Suddenly it becomes a 4-car fight. Mark Johnson has to get on the brakes as Adam Watson goes across the apex. Andre Merrick now trying to find his way past Nico Minardi. Adam all over the back of the Mercedes. Look at how close they all are here. He's going to get a good run down the start-finish straight. Andre decides to hug the right-hand side. Nico just covers enough of a gap so that the Mercedes can't fit through there. He's boxed in now. He's boxed in as Andre has to get on the brakes. He still looks down the inside, though. Nico just in front, and around the outside goes Adam Watson. Fantastic stuff. I think he just clipped the McLaren. I think he's just hit the back of him. He's still on the inside, though, and even with 2 wheels on the grass, somehow gets it stopped. That's great stuff from Adam Watson. Wow. I'm not sure whether he turned into the rear corner of Nico Minardi there, but I think there was a tiny touch, but Adams made it work. Goodness me, that was scary stuff. Simon Povey's now gained a place from this. Simon has found his way into this fight. That puts him now up into 10th position and 6 championship points. That gives him all important 1 extra point in the standings, as Gary Tall is unfortunately having a moment, and that to me looks like a potential retirement as he goes straight on and away from the circuit. Wow.
What a race this has been, hasn't it, Chaz? It's had everything. It's had dramas for Simon, a wonderful return to form for Nils. It's had a wonderful charge up through the field as well by so many drivers, but of course Adam Watson chasing down a potential podium as well. It's really had everything, but Simon looks to be able to retain all-important 10th place for the championship.
I need to change this camera.
Doesn't he?
There's too much roof in that camera. Sorry, Ed.
Does he though? So he really needs to be careful at this moment in time.
Yeah.
He's already had 1 close call. He cannot afford any more.
No, absolutely not. And I think if he sits where he is now, no matter what Nils Core does in this race, he's going to win the championship. He's got Mark Johnson 0.4 of a second back. He could even let Mark go, but that halves his advantage from 2 points to 1. What he needs is for there to be a bit more battling just up ahead. There's a 2.7 second gap back to Adam Watson from this train of cars. Dominic Brennan and Taylor Adams are actually ridiculously close together now. Brennan did not get a good run out of there at all. And Taylor Adams is down the inside in the Aston Martin. He wants to get as many points as he can as well, of course, to try and get away, or at least beat Adam Watson in the championship as well. Can we just mention what a great race Mike Murphy's having as well, by the way? 3rd position at this moment in time. So far this season, Mike's highest placed finish was a 9-point score in the endurance races. So he's not really finished as high as he would have liked. In his debut in Formula 1, by the way, in Season 2, he got a podium finish at Winton. So it seems like Australia is a lucky call somehow for Mike Murphy.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, I think he performed really well at Winton, and then again, we haven't really seen that level of performance from him. So it's great that he's able to rekindle what we know he has in his here at the final race of the season. As what we were just saying about needing to take no more risks, Simon, as he goes 3 wide with Andre Myrak, Nico Minardi, and overtakes both of them.
Yep. He went round the outside of Nico. They just about made it work through the right-hander, and then Simon had the inside line for the next corner and left these two to fight behind. The Mercedes and the McLaren absolutely glued to each other, maybe a little bit too close to each other in my eyes. Thank you, gentlemen. No need for that. Flipping out. You don't want to go making contact with each other down there. Wow, Majorek round the outside. That is commitment beyond commitment there from the Czech driver. You've got to love that. You've got to not love making contact in a straight line, though. Mark Johnson goes through and says thanks very much. Nico gets a magical run on the exit, or maybe too magical, though, as he overdoes it slightly and clips the grass. Maybe out of a bit of frustration there from Andre Merritt going past him. This was it down the start-finish straight. This was just at the end of it, actually, to be fair. There. Oh. I don't think Andre really retaliated to the right. I think he more just sort of corrected, and the car naturally went right. I think Nico didn't quite leave enough room there, to say the least, but they got away with it. But you can't take that opportunity twice. You can't do that more than once, let's just say.
No, I think he's your luck will certainly run out sooner rather than later if you keep making a habit of doing that. So I think he's checking out. He's just going to leave it at that and not worry about trying it Once more, Andre Myrick there going up into 9th place. Simon Povey ahead of him in 8th. Adam Watson's progress up the field has sort of stalled at around about the 7th place in the last sort of 5 or so minutes. Hasn't really been able to get up to Dominic Brennan to start properly battling. Sort of again just a little bit too far back with that gap being as big as it is. No real way up into that fight as Nico Minardi comes to a standstill and takes a trip into the pit lane. Is that potentially hitting an incident limit? Oh no, it's just actually contact with a barrier, just far too hard on the accelerator out of that final corner, tapping the grass, and then heavy hit into the barrier. That's probably just immediately a meatball flag, suspension damage. Taking a trip to the pits, much safer than dragging around a damaged car.
Taylor Adams looking down the inside of Jacob Money. Two of them side by side. Taylor clings the apex. We need a taller camera for that part of the circuit so we can actually see where the cars are. I was just waiting for that BMW to start spinning then. But wow, the two of them keep it together. They're all not really falling away from Mike Murphy either, to be honest with you. Nils Core has a 5.3 second lead now. Nils is absolutely loving life at the front of the field here, doing everything he can do for this championship. Simon Povey's up into 8th, just half a second behind Adam Watson, and he did the fastest lap of the race last time round. Here goes Taylor Adams down the inside of Jacob Money. Finally, somebody else overtakes Jacob Money. It's been a long time since we've seen anyone overtake him in this race, although now Taylor runs too deep. Is Jacob going to get him back? Oh, I don't even know. It's so close between all these guys. Dominic Brennan's going to be terrified to try and go past that Beamer after what it did to Simon earlier on. This is just so tantalising though. And these are the final few laps of the Sim Racing Magazine Events GT4 Winter Tour. We really hope you've enjoyed this championship, because while it has been controversial and it has been dramatic due to these sprint race nights, I think it's been a real gem. It's been great to see some of the drivers out of their comfort zone, hasn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it has been. It's been really exciting to see them all take it out of their comfort zone just tonight with the course of the season. We are approaching the closing stages of this race and this season. It's time where we do start to reflect on the performances by all of the drivers this season, but certainly Nils Core, who's put up a valiant effort to try and get the better of Simon Povey, who had a real late season, say from Simon. He came really strong. I think from around about, it was, I think the turning point for him was very late in the season, but it was actually at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, where he didn't qualify well, but his drive up through the field was really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a solid, consistent run of points. He got 2nd place in the first endurance race of the season, just behind Nils. But then, of course, the first sprint race at Suzuka didn't go his way. That then meant that he was on pole for the second one, and that's when he got in the flow. Then he had a 2nd place, a 3rd place, a win, a 2nd place, and then a win. He's not been off the podium since the 2nd sprint race at Suzuka as Simon Povey. So this is going to be a real sort of negative standout performance from him if he finishes here. Obviously, yes, he has been in an incident, so it's not his own fault that he's down in 8th place, but still, this is going to stick out like a sore thumb amongst the other points, and what a very bad time for it to happen because of Nils Core doing so well. But he's still going to have done enough, thanks to that first race, of course, to win the championship.
Here we go. We're not quite at the white flag lap yet, but it's becoming closer and closer, and Jacob Money has fewer and fewer laps where he needs to worry about Dominic Brennan chasing him down, but he certainly is doing exactly that. Look at just the way that BMW was struggling for grip all the way through these long corners, something that the BMW isn't really the best at. It's great for those sort of acceleration zones at the top end, but those longer, higher speed corners, it just doesn't seem as capable and as confident through there as the likes of the Aston Martins and McLarens as well. We're talking about actually Adam Watson struggling to catch up to Dominic Brennan, but now look at him, he's right there in the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Suddenly Adam is just inevitable. And we're going to have one more lap after this, and I can bet you that Simon Povey is just going to sit there now and wait. He's just on the brink of taking his 2nd title under the Sim Racing Magazine banner. He won, of course, the inaugural running of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, of which this is a spin-off of. Dominic Brennan's fed up looking at the back of that BMW now, and he's trying everything he can to get past Jacob Money. But Nils Core is just coming around the final corner with his 6-second lead. And this man's done everything right in this race. He's done everything right all season, to be honest. Every time he's had a drama, it's never really been his fault, to be honest with you. So you've got to feel hard done by Nils. But another great season of solid performances from the German in a big old BMW, Ed. He's just been brilliant, hasn't he?
Nils Kor now, just one lap for him to negotiate before he will win the final race of the season. Dominic Brennan's, I think, starting to move around a little bit impatiently in behind.
Whoa.
Jacob Money sees a gap up the inside and goes for it. I'm not sure if Jacob Money was really expecting it, but he had to relent as soon as that McLaren darted up the inside, and now look who's in there for company. Adam Watson nearly pushing that BMW along. Now under the brakes, has to be careful to not overdo it on those worn tyres. I think he's just about got that done to perfection. Wonderful stuff. And now the floodgates have opened and Simon Povey's going to look for a way through.
No thank you, he says. No thank you. You could see he went down the inside. He saw Jacob coming over to the right and he went no. Oh, Jacob was letting him go, is he? I don't know what that was. Looked like Jacob was letting him go then, is he? Not sure. It's like he was letting him go. Whether
he's braking now just to let him through.
Yeah, fair play from Jacob. Adam Watson past Dominic Brennan as well, just in front. Watson gets an extra cheeky position right near the end of the race in his hope to try and beat Taylor Adams. But round the final corner, the final race win of the season is going to go to Nils Kor, the German driver for Satellite Racing. Hats off to Nils and a great charge through the championship. Edwards is going to be second, with Mike Murphy coming home in third place. What a great run for them. But your champion of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour is Simon Povey for Spontex CDM Esports Unwrapped. Simon takes the title right at the end by only a couple of points. In the end, Simon scored 9 points in that race, winning the championship by 5 points, which meant this evening they were equal on points. Can you believe that, Ed? What an exciting night of racing. But congratulations to Simon Povey, the champion of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Winter Tour.
Wonderful stuff by Simon. He knew exactly what he needed to do coming into this final couple of races of the season. And he just executed it to perfection, didn't he? Winning that first race of the evening and then just securing good points in the second. It was a job well done for Simon, who is back now as a champion finally for the Sim Racing Magazine sort of umbrella. Might not be a full GT4 challenge title, but it's certainly good momentum to take forward into the new year.
It really is, and what a great performance again by Nils Kor, a man that was faced with so much bad luck this season and still was only 5 points off the championship title, and in a car that, you know, so many people have written off as a competitive car in GT4. That BMW, there's certainly been some great drivers. Guy Edwards, I mean, he finished second in that race, to be fair to Guy. A really solid result from him. Jacob Money also showing that car is quick. But Nils Kor has just got a thing for these big German cars. I mean, look at the Court au Mans. You know, he was just absolutely on fire there in the BMW M8. And we tip our hats to Nils Kor. And very well done also to Dominic Brennan, who secures third place in the championship, just ahead of Adam Watson, who manages to move up the order as well. But Simon Povey is your champion in the cardboard McLaren. Can't believe out of all my cars that I've painted that have won a team's championship, it's that one. But still, it's a lovely message behind it. Of course, Spontex Unwrapped is the sort of spin-off of their packaging, which is a more eco-friendly and recyclable packaging. And we thought we'd paint the cars like that for this season instead of our usual white, blue and red. And it's done the part. And lightweight cardboard is definitely the way to go instead of carbon fibre, eh, Ed?
Yeah, it certainly seems to be. Not maybe structurally sound, but certainly lighter, and it seems to have worked wonders for Simon Povey this season. Wonderful effort from everyone that we've had as well, not just those drivers that we've highlighted, but everybody that's taken part in any of the races this season, because it has been a real joy to be a part of.
It absolutely has. It's been great fun. Thank you to everyone for being a part of it. Thank you also to our sponsors, Oris Digital, Crockery Direct and Derbyshire Holiday Homes. We love you all very much. Now, our final race result of the season. We're going to wait for Spotify to just turn itself off, because at the end of the day it's going to stop when I talk for so long. Nils Kor takes the win. The Satellite Racing driver takes 3 wins this season. It's been great to see him at the top of the score sheets. Guy Edwards finishes in second place ahead of Mike Murphy, with Taylor Adams and Adam Watson completing the top 5 after great races through the pack for both of them. Dominic Brennan finishes in 6th place ahead of his teammate Simon Povey, who wins the outright championship, and Spontex CDM Esports and Wrapped win the teams competition. Jacob Money finishes in 8th after a very busy race for him. Andre Mayerek finishes 9th, said that second race was brilliant, and Mark Johnson gets the top 10 finish as well in the Aston Martin. Philip Hopley and Ben Chalcraft finish 11th and 12th. Heinz Mayer finishes in 13th ahead of Toby Johns and Kim Such, who is the final point scorer. Nico Minardi had a big incident in the wall, unfortunately, to end his season, and Gary Tall had another wheel disconnect late on in that race as well. Gary had been plagued with technical issues, unfortunately, throughout the campaign, but that is a massive, massive shame for Gary. He's been very, very promising and very, very quick. Now, Ed, I really want to give you the honours here to avoid any bias from me. But we have...
Well, you say avoid bias. I raced against him. He beat me to a championship. Here we go. Coming into the comments box, the ever-brilliant Simon Povey. And what a championship that has been for you, mate. It got off to a great start with a second place, then faltered midway through, but then that late season kick on from Bathurst onwards. It's been a real joy to watch you, Simon. What are your emotions after securing the title, first place in the GT4 Winter Tour?
Wow, he's speechless.
He's speechless. He's
Absolutely
completely at a loss for words.
Simon. He's
shy.
He's fallen asleep. He's fallen asleep. He's been listening to us for too long. That's what he'll tell me. He'll say that in a bit to me. But we've not got anyone else to interview, Simon, so you better make this a good one.
Come on, Simon. He's gotten all shy now. He's flustered. We said all that lovely stuff about him, and now he's all embarrassed.
We promise you, everybody, he is in the commentary box. We're not just sat here taking the mick out of him and bringing a graphic up. He is actually in the commentary box with us here on Discord. But still, you know, it's been great to see it, though, hasn't it, Ed? You know, not to blow too much smoke up his backside while he's here, but, you know, we've had so much in the way of, since Simon's first triumph in the GT4 Challenge, coming through to now with the other seasons he's had where it's been difficult with the likes of Callum Brandt and Lewis Ward. It's been great to see it, hasn't it, that he's come through like this. He says he can't hear anything, apparently. Well, that's not our fault. That's even better, because it means that he can't hear us talking nice things about him.
Might be good. Yeah, I might need to do a quick reset of his Discord, and hopefully he'll be able to hear us. But yeah, he's been obviously just a constant presence at the front of the field, hasn't he, from pretty much day one, from the very first Sim Racing Magazine special events that we ran to obviously the first of the GT4 challenges, all across every season, special event that he's been a part of. He's always been up at the very front. Here we go. We have Simon now, and Simon, that's been, well, an absolute mad championship. Got off to a great start with the second place at Fuji, and then sort of faltered a little bit midway through the season, but then kicking off brilliantly from a fight up through the field at Bathurst. And then those final 2 race meetings were just absolutely perfect for you. How has it been for you this season? What are your emotions mainly at the end of such a dramatic season?
Well, firstly, really, really happy with that. It was race 2 once again. I wasn't just trying to play it safe, but it's you don't want to play it too safe because you're worried about getting rear-ended. In the end, I think it was just a little bit tight with me and Jacob when I got punted off, or just clipped off. Really, it was just a racing thing. But yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the season. Feel bad for what happened to Niels in the first race. He's had some bad luck in the last 2 rounds. So, but overall, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, he certainly has had some rotten luck, but you've been there to capitalise every single time with those race victories. And I think you've had a total of, is it 3 or 4 so far this season? I can't really keep count of them, to be honest, but you've been doing such a good job. And is it something that you've just gotten used to, maybe with the McLaren when a few other drivers switched cars, or is it just maybe a different format that's taken a bit of getting used to? What's sort of been the reason for this kick on later on in the season compared to the start of the season?
I think it's because we've got a baby due in February, and I know next season I'm probably not going to get much time to race, so making the most of this one. But no, I think I've got used to the car now. The tyre problem with it makes me want to drive something else, but at the same time, I feel like this is kind of my car now. So yeah, I was just so worried. Chaz will tell you that I've been whining all week about how bad the tyres were around Phillip Island.
Can vouch.
And yeah, luckily we got lower temps than I've been testing in tonight, and that just seemed to take the edge off a little bit. But and everyone seemed to be struggling a little bit, especially in race 2, because the Astons were getting really, really loose. Yeah, so I think obviously I've been driving this car for a long time now, so I kind of think I'm probably getting as much out of it as I can. And yeah, still enjoying it most of the time. I think the sprint races are actually trickier for the McLaren than anything else, because normally you'd never be on a set of tyres for 30 minutes. So it's trying to make it through that. You know, normally in an endurance race you'd be pitting after 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and getting some fresh front tyres and getting the cool down on the rear tyres just from pitting. So
yeah, apologies everyone for letting that slip. That Simon was able to figure it out. He's turned into an absolute monster after finding that out. It's been something else. That's the reason why he's been able to return back to winning ways as a champion. Obviously, we saw you for the first season of the GT4 Winter Tour with probably less stiff opposition than you've had this time around, but just talk us through sort of the competitiveness.
I don't know, there was one guy in season 1.
I don't know about that one. Yeah. Just talk us through, from your perspective, obviously, as a driver and being here from the very get-go, what it's been like in these sort of GT4 championships, obviously the Winter Tour, and the sort of increasing level at season on season, and how you have to deal with it.
Yeah, obviously we haven't got Lewis here for this one. And he's won 2 championships. He's the benchmark in a way. But apart from that, then in each season, and including this one as well, we've had new people turn up that have been quicker, like James last season, and then Adam and Arthur this season, really, really quick. And yeah, so it feels like it's going from strength to strength, really. It's, I think hopefully people, if we're sticking with the sprint format, then that's the tricky part at the moment. Hopefully people kind of, if we do a few more of those, get used to how they're going to play out, because even 30 minutes is actually quite a long race. I think people need to calm down a little bit. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, we saw your calm and cool head prevail this season. I'll hand over to Chaz, because I've waffled on long enough to you. It'd be remiss if I didn't let him have a word to you, as obviously.
Thanks, Ed.
Well, Simon, it's been great to, obviously, in as biased a way as possible, it's been great to see Spontex CDM Esports get a Drivers' Championship and a Teams' Championship tonight, but it's not been easy, like Ed said, you know, even though this was as a bit of a test bed and a bit of a sort of, a bit more of a fun, loose, relaxed league over winter before the big GT4 challenge comes back, people still took it very seriously, a good opportunity to get the most out of different cars, didn't they? There was a lot of variables here.
Yeah, and I think the track choice was really interesting, and especially we're used to kind of cool attempts, or we had been in season 3, and obviously doing winter on the other side of the world, we were getting some really hot track temps, which made it interesting. It was something different.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great to watch though, Simon. We do have to move on, unfortunately, but not that I want to, but still, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you very much for, 1, just taking part, and then 2, obviously doing what you do and being such a great guy about it with everybody in the community and having a laugh. Is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks to or a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, thanks to you guys. I love watching the broadcasts back. You're doing an amazing job with that.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me be part of the team. Thanks to my mum for always watching, my wife for letting me do this crazy, weird hobby. Yeah, and friends John and Vicky who watch every week. My mate Darren, who also tunes in. Yeah, and Andy as well for putting this on. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Simon, and congratulations on Little Un, and best of luck, mate. And we'll hopefully
that was a total mistake, but
we'll hopefully speak to you again soon. Yeah.
Cool. Catch you later, guys.
Cheers, Simon.
Bye.
Lovely stuff, Ed. It's always good to speak to Simon, isn't it? He's such a funny bloke, but very humble at the same time, and he knows what's good for the community and the entire package when it comes to the Sim Racing Magazine lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's been around here long enough. He knows exactly what comes with being a driver at the very front, leading by example, and is wonderful to have him as sort of an ambassador, isn't it, really, for the Sim Racing Magazine Challenge.
He absolutely is, and a driver that's been one of the most exciting drivers to watch this season. Obviously a newcomer to having a season with us rather than just an event. Adam Watson jumps in the booth. Adam, welcome to the commentary box, mate. You must be a bit relieved that tonight is over, because that was a busy, mighty busy night, that.
All I can think of is I'm an idiot.
I wasn't going to mention it, Adam.
Yeah, no, it's a really good evening, and like race 1 was good. And I thought I could have Simon in the first 5-10 laps, but then I just pushed the tyres too much. But race 2 was fun.
I was going to say, having to start from the back is never an easy thing to do, but you know, with the sort of compressed field and with how much easier it is to overtake here than at Sandown, it was definitely a mission, wasn't it, from the get-go for you?
Yeah, we'll blame me missing the start on Mark's and bringing the wrong engineers to Phillip Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a bit on that. So yeah, no, it's really good. Like obviously, Phillip Island's more of a flowing track, so it suited the Aston.
Mm-hmm.
Sandown's the same, but obviously I think with Sandown you can, hence why you use like the track limits a bit more, because you can just run over the curb and use the curb to obviously help you like slingshot you. So around here it was more difficult. I'm definitely going to try and go for overtake of the race though, on Minardi and on Andre, I think it is, in turn 1 when I was 2 wheels on the grass. I thought I was having an accident.
I was going to say, I imagine there was a few points where it seemed like there were a few people almost having accidents and bringing others with them, weren't there?
Yeah, through turn 1 the Aston felt really good through turn 1. It's just the low speed stuff that it kicks in TC really, really much. So it was mostly sideways through the last 2 corners, which for me it's fine. But I think if for others, seeing an Aston going sideways probably isn't the nicest thing to see.
Yeah, true, very true. But still, it's been a feisty season for it, hasn't it? There's been a lot going on around you, and with a lot of new competitors. What's it been like, sort of learning a field of drivers and knowing who can sort of race a bit closer than others?
It's been interesting because I think, obviously, as you know, when as you and I did both probably racing it there, like obviously when I've done World GT, obviously the sprint races are like heavy packs, action packs, so they're very, very chaotic. So I think the sprint races definitely suited me more. So I was able to push a bit more. However, obviously I needed to be careful of who I can fight with, who's okay with where I position cars and stuff, which obviously it took a bit of learning and getting used to. But yeah, it's been good. And obviously GT4's, it's not like an aero dependent car, so it's been fun. So obviously the cars can move around, and it's been a good car to race.
Well, it's been great fun to watch you, Adam, and obviously we enjoyed the sprint race mentality of nothing to lose going through the pack. It's always entertaining when drivers have that about them, so thank you for your services to the entertainment. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go this evening?
Obviously Simon Povey for winning the championship. He's been really quick, literally could never match him in qualifying. You and Ed for putting on some great commentary for the spectators. Alex UD Sports for obviously being a good team for me, and all our sponsors. And Arthur unfortunately wasn't here, but PT and the team championship's been good for us both. But yeah, it's been a good teammate. So yeah, well, thank you everything for a great season.
Well, thank you, Adam. It's always a pleasure, mate, and we hope to see you again in the near future. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll speak to you again soon.
See you soon.
Cheers. Well, there we go, Ed. Adam Watson, he's been, like I say, did get a little bit of a slap on the wrist last week, but that paled into insignificance with how solid and on pace he was tonight. He was right up there and just showing us exactly what he's like at his best again, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it can be a bit of a benefit, really, just to have that feedback from sort of people that run the series and everything, just to say this is what we expect as for our drivers to behave like over the course of a season. And I think he's taken that on board brilliantly, and we're seeing the best of him as a result. He's not sort of pushing the limits a bit too far and just staying within himself, and that's, I think, being rewarded with those good results.
Yeah, definitely. It's been really good to see. We've got one more quick interview to do. We will be quick with this one. But Guy Edwards just finished second in that final race of the season. Guy, you must be pretty pleased with that one, mate, because the BMW is a bit of a bogey car for some people, but you've made it work this season.
It has. Yeah, finally. So, it took a while, didn't it? Took a while. But yeah, it's a round of two halves, really, wasn't it? And big apologies to Nils, really. Made a big error on lap one. And yeah, hopefully it didn't affect the final standings too much. But yeah, it was all on me. Yeah, sort of really unfortunate. It's a bit bitter, really, on after that one.
Yeah, understandably. But, it's with sprint racing, people always try and go for any initial, we even get it in our endurance races as well. The first lap is always the place to get moves done, because that's when the field is at its closest and it's the easiest place to gain consecutive positions. But it happens to the best of us. And at the end of the day, Guy, the fact that you went straight into Discord and apologised, and you and Niles had a discussion over it, that's what's so great about this community, isn't it, at Sim Racing Magazine, with all the events we do.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's really friendly, especially with all the league racing, and yeah, everyone clears the air afterwards, which is always nice. And yeah, it's a really good bunch of guys, which makes a big difference. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Really. And as you say, Nils is a rocket, right? So it was. I had a good run on him, and it was like, right, it's kind of now's my chance. And I think just everyone was a bit cautious on that one, a bit more than I thought, and yeah, caught me out. But race two, we moved on, and in a way, it ended up in our favour for race two. We were a bit further up with the inverse grid, and it was just head down and try and keep up with him. And obviously he pulled a massive gap. I'm not sure what happened behind. We seemed to pull a gap about 5 seconds on the group behind after we got through. So I don't know if they got caught out battling and slowed him down. But yeah, it gave me a chance to get some points and get up there for a change.
Hey, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Big points, points mean prizes in this sort of championship, and it's been very close all season in the points, hasn't it? Has there been any sort of element of just keeping your eye on those numbers throughout, or just enjoy each race as it comes?
For me, this time, just with the Winter Series, it was more about just enjoying it and trying out the new formats, sort of getting up to speed, because I was in the Merc before, so kind of getting used to the Beamer and getting used to its nuances. It's a bit of a tricky beast to get right. Once you if you can get it right, and you can get used to it, as Neil shows, it's pretty quick. But there's a fine line between being quick and yeah, not being so quick. So just that was really the challenge for me, and just enjoying the different races. And this was the first sprint format. This one for me this evening, just because of a few other personal things going on. So it was nice to do that for a change. So yeah, just trying it out really.
And what can we expect in Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge Season 4? Will you be back on the roster?
If I can, yeah, I want to, because it's a great season, as I've said, and really enjoying it. And you and Ed always put on a great show. It's always good to watch it back and be part of the community. So fingers crossed, watch this space.
We'll have our fingers crossed too, Guy. It's great to have you. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Is there anyone else you want to give a quick final thanks to?
Just a big shout out for everyone at RD Sim Sport and Rob for organising everything, as always. So I think I was flying the flag today. Yeah, nice to bring it up. But yeah, just those guys really and everything. And yourselves for putting a great tour and for everything you guys do.
Thanks very much, Guy. Always a pleasure. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Always lovely to speak to Guy Edwards, another great person within the community, Ed. We're so lucky, aren't we, to have so many fantastic people around us here at Sim Racing Magazine.
Yeah, it's just like one big happy family, really, isn't it? At the end of the day, you can have your disagreements, and of course, every family have their arguments and tough times, but they all pull together at the end of the day, and it is really wonderful to see that atmosphere continuing on into the new year, and hopefully for many more years to come, because this has been a wonderful little test season, I think, for the Winter Tour. We might have a few conversations and tweaks about what we might do for some sprint rounds going forwards, but I think it's been really illuminating to see those formats sort of brought to the forefront, trying something new.
It absolutely has. And thank you once again, Ed, for joining me in the commentary box. It's always been a laugh. And of course, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to our sponsors, Oris Digital, Crockery Direct and Derbyshire Holiday Homes. We really do appreciate your support. Thanks also to Andy Marston, the man behind Sim Racing Magazine. Without him, none of this would go ahead. And thank you to all the drivers for putting on a fantastic show. Spontex CDM Esports on Wrapped take the Teams Championship title. Simon Povey is the Drivers' Champion. And hopefully, everybody, we'll see you all again in January for the 4th running of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. This has been Ed May and Chaz Draycott up here in the commentary box. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your Christmas and New Year, and we'll hopefully see you again very, very soon. Have a good night. 4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and
But
Pouget.
before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off.
All the way from back there. Go on ball with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.